All right, we are live for another episode of the Hangout. Excited to be back with the fellas and just having a little back and forth and just talk about relevant topics and share our 2 cents on it. Of course, trying to get some good laughs out of this as well. So in the middle here we have Tom, and far right we have Mr. Andre here. We got the coming conflict in the middle, and the broke capitalist to my far left. Yeah, but
Over here.
how you guys doing, man?
Doing
Fantastic,
great.
Mike.
All right, so lots of subjects, and as I mentioned beforehand, for on my side, just everything seems to be blending together perfectly to make a lot of, I guess, no sense to make, not to make much sense overall. It's just a lot of distractions, diversion tactics, as I always say, and I'm curious to see where all this is heading, especially as we enter to the end of the year. And so right now, it seems like the whole Twitter situation seems to be getting a lot of the mainstream attention, but I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on it because I know you guys cover a variety of subjects on your side, but the Twitter files, they're talking about dumping it all. Does it matter? And at this point of the game, do people really even give a damn? Pardon my French, but I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on it, man. What are you guys thinking?
Okay, so if you don't mind, Andre, because I know you have a different take on it. So this is my thing. I personally believe that the Dorsey wants it all dumped at once because there's something that's going to come out that's going to be not too good for him. So he'd rather paper over the news cycle, turn this into a 1-day, 2-day, week-long news event, and focus in on Donald Trump asked someone who called him a fat orange monkey or whatever. Oh, he asked for that person to be removed. And that's all the media is going to run with. They're going to overlook any other wrongdoing by the Twitter execs or Dorsey or the FBI or the CIA. And that's why Dorsey wants that. Because it was weird to me how Taibbi specifically said there was no government intervention when we know that that's not true. And he also said that this was all done without Dorsey's knowledge. So if the first thing is not true that Taibbi reported, then why would it be true that Dorsey had no knowledge? So that's my take on it. I think that this whole Twitter files thing is the biggest distraction that's happening right now. And I don't think Elon Musk is benevolent in it. I think he is either trying to protect Dorsey or trying to protect somebody or himself. That's my take on it.
Okay, that's fair enough. What do you think, Mr. Dre?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning before we went live, I had the pleasure of just being lucky, I guess. I was on the call this Saturday with 100,000 people in Elon Musk, and it was an opportunity for us, to listen to him without filter. Some people on that call were able to ask him questions directly. It was about 2 hours long. And first of all, I doubt everybody. Well, I'll say, like, I'm just not going to believe anybody just because everybody has their agenda or whatnot. But I'm not so jaded that I don't believe anything. But one of the things I thought was very interesting, and we'll talk about it a little bit, was when, if you guys know of this channel called Redacted, the host, I forgot his name, but the
Clayton Morris,
wife and husband, he asked if that portal to the government, from Twitter to the government, was still open, the same portal that Facebook has. And Elon Musk sounded like he didn't know much about it. That's what he was saying. He was like, hesitated a little bit. It was like, if there is something that is currently legal that should not be legal, we're going to do everything we can to make it illegal. So we're going to push back. And if they're requesting information of us that they shouldn't be requesting, we're going to make it known that they're requesting it. Basically saying they're going to put them on blast. If they're like, hey, shut down this person, they're going to tweet out that, the government asked them to shut them down.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that sounds great. And that's good, right? Because a lot of people were shadow banned or just banned because of that portal and the government's interference. But then his reply was really strange considering what we have here. You have a guy buying a $44 billion company, and that company has lawsuits, a lot of them. Like everybody's suing them. I mean, why not? They got a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
You know, people gonna find a way to sue you. But this is one of the biggest, most controversial issues you could say in the history of America, where you have government actors directly interfering with people's free speech. And you're like, I don't know too much about that. I'm gonna look into that. That sounds really big brotherish. I'm gonna look into that. And I'm like, look into that. That, I mean, if I'm buying this, one of the first things I want to know is one, is that portal still open? Two, what's my liability on that now that I bought this company? And three, there's a lawsuit that we mentioned last time by Dr. Shiva. And in that lawsuit, if you could bring that up, Mike.
Yep, that's that CISA report. No, that's the other one. That's the Chief Historic first. Yeah. Okay, give me 1 second here. All right.
In the complaint of that lawsuit, you know, they say how they went through. There's been several phases of this lawsuit, and they document in the complaint how during discovery they discovered what you're seeing basically on the screen. All these connections, these government connections with social media and legacy media.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there's direct evidence in this lawsuit by this guy, Dr. Shiva, of the government literally saying, we don't want this guy on the platform, cancel him. Like there's in the lawsuit, you guys can find that lawsuit. It's at the very bottom of this page, man. It's way too much stuff on there. Just look up drshiva.com.
Yeah.
You can find it.
Yeah.
It goes forever. But there's definitely direct evidence of the government. There you are. Interfering with people's freedom of speech. And that gave me really pause. That gave me pause, man. Like, is this guy being genuine? Like, how do you not know about that?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
See, I think the biggest thing is not many people really, really, really trust Elon. And a lot of what he's doing now, I think, is to win over the people. So by him now being a champion for free speech, he bought a platform that is going to be the focal point for all tech companies as to whether or not they're going to allow people to speak freely or not. And of course, they're not going to. And then the government's already talked about, you know, the concerns of it being a national security threat, possibly with him allowing this. So it's that, you know, it's that confusion in the midst of, like, doesn't really even matter. Like, okay, we know the actors, we know the government agencies said all this, did all this, but they're the same people on the flip side of this that's supposed to enforce the laws. So, like, okay, now what? You know what I'm saying? Like, they dump it all. You get more specific, show name, time, dates, and places they met and shook hands. Then what? You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. Like, it's entertaining as hell, but does it really matter? And will it really? Will it open up a can of worms that they can't even control?
Yeah. And another thing, how do you? Okay, Twitter is not that big. I mean, he fired half the employees, and it's not like, you know, he fired 80,000 people. He fired what, 3,000 or 4,000 people. That's half of the employees. How do you not know Jim Baker is a general counsel at your company?
That's the whole point.
How do you not know this? If for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it was discovered that the reason why the Twitter files have been delayed, the second batch, is because Jim Baker, who's responsible for, you know, the Russiagate crap and all that stuff, he was hired by Twitter after he was basically embarrassed out of a job in government. And all the Twitter files ran through his filter before it got to me and you. And my question is, Elon, how do you not know Jim Baker is an attorney at your company? I mean, if I saw Jim Baker on the payroll, I don't care if it said engineer next to it. I would have been like, let me make sure this ain't the guy causing all these problems. So that's strike two for me. I'm like, man, Elon, because last week we talked about it, I was really hopeful about it. I'm like, dude, you got Jim Baker. Like, he's not an engineer. He's an attorney. You only got a handful of attorneys at any one company. right?
Right.
Tim Baker is the dude's name. How do you not know he's at your company, man?
Yeah. More reason to be skeptical of Mr. Musk's intentions overall. I don't know. Tom, what do you think?
That's the whole thing, because it's like, exactly, you don't know James Baker, okay, a disgraced FBI agent involved with smearing a president through an impeachment trial, doesn't work with your company. You don't know. There's no way you don't know that, okay? Also, it wasn't. It took Jack Posobiec showing Yoel Roth doing an FEC affidavit proving that there was government interference in Twitter. Then it took Barry Weiss calling whoever was filtering this information down, the intermediary between Baker and Barry Weiss, for them to break that out. And then all of a sudden, Elon's like, oh, I found out. And his excuse wasn't very interesting. But then as of today, do you have this that I sent you, Mike? This stream?
Yep. I'll put it up as a stream.
And then as of today, oh, wait a second. Elon and SpaceX, SpaceX are working with the federal government. I mean, we already knew that, but they're developing Starlink for, the Pentagon. So it's like this big incestuous circle, and that's why I urge people to be skeptical of Elon. Don't hate him outright or whatever, but people really need to be skeptical and stop looking for a hero to come save the day. Because I don't understand how a guy who's made most of his money through government contracts. I'm not saying he's not brilliant. He is. He's created a lot of good products. He doesn't ever come through fully with what he promises. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's an evil guy, but at the end of the day, he's still a human being, and a human being is going to look out for number one first. And if the government's writing your biggest paycheck, you're not going to screw the government over. You're going to tell the people you're about to out the government. The government will go along with a certain portion of it. Yeah. I don't think he expected the James Baker connection to be made. I really just don't believe he thought that was going to happen.
So now what? So will they allow more information possibly be leaked in this whole second dump or whatever to really distract people from that might have been an oopsie?
Well, now it's
what else?
Now I'm hearing that. I forget where I heard this, but now they're going through to see if they can salvage any documents that were destroyed. Doesn't it seem like the classic excuse? Oh, mm-hmm. We had this information, but James Baker destroyed it and he's fired. Sorry, we tried.
Yeah. Again, too, but I'm like, dude, there's a lawsuit out there. The Intercept, like you were saying earlier, gave a dribble of what that lawsuit was about when they said, oh, there's a connection between the government and social media. Well, dude, that's nothing compared to what that lawsuit and all the evidence in that lawsuit has exposed. There's a long fuse report. There's a report called the long fuse, and I got it on my. I'll put it up.
How long has that lawsuit been going on? Is this since the 2020?
Yeah, 17. I thought
17
for at least 2020.
When did Shiva run for Massachusetts Senate?
2020.
Oh, okay.
I believe
he ran a couple times.
Right. It might be 17. He might.
So watch it. If that lawsuit has been pending or since around that time frame there, it's been 5 years, give or take. They can probably literally push that thing down there or bury it and prolong it for another 5 years, and it just remains in the backdrop, and they accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the lawsuit, even though it exposes a lot, once again, when the criminality goes all the way up to the highest levels of the court industry, the judicial side of things. Okay, so sometimes doesn't it feel not necessarily hopeless, but like, you can have all the information you want, you can doctor, you can have all the pretty graphs pointing to the criminals, but once again, what?
Yeah.
I like to be like hopeless, but it's like,
when,
at the end of the day, though.
When the FBI is corrupt at the very highest level,
mm-hmm.
Who do you go to for that? Your local cops? What are they going to do? Your sheriffs? What are they going to do? If the very highest branch of criminal law enforcement is corrupt in the way that it is, what is the recourse? And that's why I don't have an answer for that, because it does feel hopeless, but at the same time, I think everybody just needs to start accepting it and just be like, okay, this is the hand that we have. Let's deal with it some other way. Not not violently. I'm not saying that, but just we got to deal with this on a personal, individual level, family level, and just kind of drop out almost.
Not a problem with that. Not the problem, but just one of the things that I think is a part of their game plan, meaning, the government body and what they're trying to, pull off over humanity, is that now, as a result of the whole January 6th event, they've escalated things by labeling people who express concerns into what they are doing and how they're doing it as possible domestic terrorists. So they're going to continue to squeeze until either we as a whole break and respond, or we are bow down in submission and go along with it. And so what are the likelihood of which one do you think society will probably go towards? Submission or rebellion?
Submission. You can't rebel if you don't know what you're rebelling against.
Right.
Like, hey, me and Mike, I'm sure we're down to pick up the pitchforks and go march on something, but we look like two idiots marching in front of the Federal Reserve Bank, right? It's like no one knows what the problem is. That's the problem.
If you guys are down, I'll join. We can get Royce White too.
We're going to DC, fellas.
Hey, what's the saying? Wherever two black people gather, it's a riot. So,
oh my goodness.
So, that's the big problem with this Twitter thing.
Okay, so not to cut you off, but looking at the chat, and so there's a good. This is different. So that Brad says military is the only way. And so we've seen another I think Brazil supposedly, they're ramping up troops for whatever their presidential situation. And so I remember doing a whole presidential, the previous or 2020, people were talking about, the military. They have all the information. They recorded all the phone calls. They know who said what. They're going to have a black ops overnight. They're going to, Guantanamo Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't doubt the military, but they're part of it. You know what I'm saying? They get paid. Their paychecks come from the same people they are paid to support and go with. So our military, and they're damn near sick and broken up right now. So
right.
I hear you that, but it's just like,
this is all the simple.
Come on, man. One of the highest people in the military is a dude wearing a dress. Like, come on, man. Like that mindset is gone. Like it's one of my favorite sayings. I got a billion of them, but I don't know if you guys saw that. Anyway, it's a science fiction movie, and they were talking about how this planet that was captured, and they they made it went from dust to nothing, being habitable, right? And something went wrong, and everybody's walking around like nothing's wrong, and it's like 3 or 4 people on the entire planet that knows this thing is already dead. Just no one else knows it. And that's kind of how I feel like in these on the podcast and these corners of the internet. It's like we're telling the truth. I mean, how many of us go to like our friends and family, show them evidence, and they break out in hives or run away because they don't want to accept the truth? So it's like, man, this thing is we've already lost this thing.
You're absolutely correct. And that comment about the military is, yes, I understand that. And at a different time in American history, that would have made sense. When we had stronger men, we had stronger connections as Americans. We had the thing called being an American that held us all together. But that idea that, the military or trust the plan, this cue bull crap, any of that is that's the symptom of the problem. Is nobody is coming to help us. We got to stop trusting the plan. We got to stop thinking that this person or whoever is coming. Yeah, do your civic duty and vote and hope for the best. But at the end of the day, you better be able to go Mad Max style in a desert with whatever and protect you and your loved ones. Because at the end of the day, that's it. The government doesn't love you. The government doesn't care about you. Welfare is only there to keep you from revolting when so many people are poor, and food stamps are only there to keep people from starving so they don't revolt. It's all just a way to keep us in this trance, play sports, watch TV. At the end of the day, though, like Andre's saying, this thing's already dead. We're living inside the carcass of it. This empire will fall like they all do. So we just got to stop hoping someone else is going to come save us.
You know what's crazy about what Tom is saying? Like, be prepared, be able to go Mad Max style, blah, blah, blah. That only sounds strange to your ears because it's 2022. If Tom was saying this in 1922, people would be like, duh. Right? Like, the government ain't going to take care of you. There's no, like, social security system. There's no,
there were no real programs. It was literally like
income tax. There was,
it was
like,
literally just every man for themselves, having a free opportunity to become and build whatever they wanted to. And then, of course, the Bankston cartel took over, hijacked the political scene, and here we are today.
The biggest injustice that's been done to every American is the powers that be took away our ability to fail, and that's it.
Yes. Okay. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna do something very controversial here.
Give it to me.
And quote a very prominent pro-slavery guy from the 1860s.
Okay.
Right? Fitzgerald, I think is his last name. He said, you know, these Democrats are nothing but socialists and they're very disingenuous. All they're trying to do is replace the individual who's responsible for these slaves with the government to be responsible for the slaves. And they won't tell, he was talking about the abolitionists at this point. He said that the abolitionists are disingenuous because he won't tell these slaves that freedom comes with the huge risk of being free to die in the North, meaning there's nobody out there to take care of you, right? Now, I'm not an advocate of slavery, but there's truth in what this dude said, right? You're free literally to go out and die in the streets. America was not set up for you to cross a Rio Grande, come in here and have your kids get educated, and Andre, Tom, and Mike pay for the health insurance. That's not what America was set up for. Individual freedom, individual responsibility. So when they freed all the slaves, unfortunately, they were like, bye, y'all. Good luck, right? Good luck. Now, how you supposed to do anything with that? But I lost my train of thought there. But anyway, Tom saying be prepared is something we should all, that should be a given. And it used to be up until they got rid of the Boy Scouts, I guess. Like, you know, they taught you to always be prepared. But now it's like, nah, don't worry about that. The government will take care of you.
Yeah. Now, speaking of prepared, what exactly does that mean? Like, you know, when you say prepared, that's a well-rounded viewpoint there. Somebody, you know, we were talking earlier about the military and pitchforks. When you mentioned pitchforks, Dre, somebody said AR-15s instead of pitchforks. So I assume that include, you know, protection for oneself or what? What do you guys think?
Yeah. So I forget who said it, but it was basically the whole entire world is 3 meals away from chaos. So you got to look at it. Okay, so let's say the three of us, we have jobs, but we have no sort of preparedness items. If we were to go without a week without a paycheck, we'd be SOL on the street hungry. So the way I look at it is everybody, especially right now, because I don't care what the media says, I'm sure everybody watching this can feel this just malaise. Something isn't right. Even if you personally can kind of afford things, you know they're way more expensive. You know something just isn't okay. So me personally, what I would recommend anybody do is when you go to the store and you're shopping for, you know, groceries, if something's buy one, get one free, take that other get one free thing and stick it in your pantry, or get a couple cans of whatever, stick it in your pantry, and just do that every single time you go. Even if you're spending an extra $1, $2, $5, it adds up. And then, you know, then you don't have to worry about food. And then think about the next logical thing. And you just move up that ladder until you get to the point where, okay, now I have gold and silver, I have food, I have medical. How do I protect those things? So you go from stacking beans to silver to lead, basically, in that kind of order. You got to do it within your means, but it's something I truly believe everybody watching this and anybody who will watch this really needs to start considering, because I don't want to be a downer, but I don't think things are going to be better.
Yeah. I would agree. And so somebody in the chat mentions, have any of you studied, I think this is the Law of War manual, if I'm not mistaken, Persistence of Resistance. Let me know. I have not, but if it is a Law of War, I did just pull something up real quick. I have not checked it out, but feel free to
The law
share
of
your
war, or
thoughts.
the art of war.
The art of war, yeah. But I
He
didn't
said the
study it.
Law
I
of
read
War. And so this is what I came up with. Oops, 1 second. Got to add it to the screen. Add the screen. Here we go. So Department of Defense announces the new Law of War manual. So assuming he meant this, I don't know, but if this is what it is, something from the Department of Defense. So not sure what it's pertaining to, but it probably has something to do with society and civil unrest and things of that nature. So something to check into. But anyway, go ahead.
That I don't know about, but from the art of war, one thing they say is appear strong when you're weak and appear weak when you're strong. So that can be, again, turned into this prepping idea of if you're strong, if you're financially doing well, focus on your beans and your butter and your bullets and not your brand new Ferrari. Start bringing things in closer to you as much as possible. Get out of debt, get some sort of hard assets on hand. I mean, whether it's bullets or silver bars or beans, at the end of the day, if everybody's in the same bad boat, you might be able to barter. I'm not expecting an apocalyptic scenario, but I do expect times where, I mean, if you look at the markets, they're all over the place. But one thing that hasn't changed is energy and food. All of those things have gone up. I don't see how they can come down. There's no strategy that I can see. There's no policy. There's no leader that is doing anything to address the rising commodity prices. They're not. Everybody's doing the exact opposite thing to bring energy prices down, which then means everything else is more expensive. And then in the Netherlands, they're taking people's farms, and I don't see any strong leader on the world stage that's coming in and saying, hey, we're going to remedy these situations before they turn into something we can't remedy.
Right. Now, speaking of which, this country, and we're seeing bits and pieces throughout the country of societal breakdown. And it is a video I'm going to share with you, but I want to get your thoughts on this. And imagine life if our entire country resembled this. And I'll play this real quick. That just came to mind. So let me just share this with you guys real quick. Then we can talk about it a little bit. So this is armed security at a gas station in North Philly. And so when I first saw this video, it reminded me of like third world countries where you go. I remember Honduras, Guatemala. They all got armed people at the front.
This is really Philly?
This is really Philly. And so this is one gas station, but this is in North America. And like, who would ever thought you would see this type of militia-style security force watching a store, watching people? So imagine pumping gas, you get guys holding his, standing there. Like, this is where our country's heading. And so this just came to mind as we're talking about breakdown.
Holy crap. I'm 2 hours from there.
So yeah, this is just apparently one store. There's a whole article write up on this, but the guy's fed up because they're breaking in, stealing stuff, and it's dangerous. So imagine that scattered all across the country. I think this has a lot to do with what we're talking about being prepared, the bullets, beans, and everything else in between. So but what are you guys' thoughts on that, man? Like, if how do we get used to that as a society if it gets to that point?
If that's the norm, it's over, man. I'm moving. Like I'm out. Like, I don't know where I go, because this is like, where do you go? We have the First Amendment and the Second Amendment so far, and that's the only thing holding this dam up, in my opinion. Those two amendments. Other than that, we'd be like Canada, like, with, hey, I broke my leg, I ain't feeling well. Well, come on in, we'll help kill you. Like, what's going on in
help put you to sleep.
Jesus Christ, man! Like, y'all went way off the deep end. Like, I get the trucker thing causing traffic problems and stuff. I don't really get it. But the offer to kill somebody because they're depressed, back to America. If this becomes the norm, like I said, it's already over. And I think, in a way, somebody said, I heard it from somebody. Well, Tom just said it. We're living off the carcass of America. I think America, that ideal of America, died with the Wilson administration. As soon as they started pumping in all this socialist stuff, the idea of America died, and we, like all socialists, have been parasites feeding off of a host, basically. So, what can you do to turn that tide? I would hope you can turn the tide, but there's no evidence. Twitter, the acquisition of Twitter was the only bright light I could see, with like a blinker, getting us off this highway. That's it. And now I come to find out that, okay, one of the biggest lawsuits pertaining to Twitter, Elon Musk acts like he don't know nothing about it, right? So that's giving me pause, right? So
making you rethink some things, huh, Mr.
Yeah,
Elon?
I mean, I don't want to be, just doubting everything. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh, it's no hope, it's no hope. But Jesus Christ, man, give me a bone, give me something, because I don't see anything. I just see us walking toward this, new world. Was that you'll own nothing and be happy scenario? There's nothing taking us off of that. Like you said, the farmers in the Netherlands getting their farms taken away. Somewhere in England, they're going to try these lockdowns, like COVID style lockdowns, but for climate. They're already issuing that. They already got UBI tests throughout America. They're already just destroying the physical dollar by just pumping it out all over the world. And yay for us. Hey, Mike, you might want to move to California, because California residents about to get paid
reparations.
Reparations. And
New York as well. New York is about to study it as well. So
I might be dark enough if I change my lighting.
I dare them to give me that money. I dare them to give me that money. It will be exchanged in gold immediately, and I'm gone.
Spend it quick. You better spend it quick, boy.
Because that $10 apple would be $1,500. Let alone how many people go. Man, if I was a non-African American, I'd be mad as hell.
So that's going to further divide society, just because you're going to have people saying, what about, they're going to start bringing up all types of Native Americans, they have reservations, whatever, they got casino money, but still, Jewish population, So every population is going to say, we want ours too. Can we help build this? You know what I'm saying? So, but then again, more diversions and distractions.
I think,
hey, if you're going to do this for real, now I'm serious. If I had the time, I'd try and do it. I would try and get reparations directly from the DNC, directly from the Democratic Party. They're responsible for all the Jim Crow laws. You can't get reparations from slavery, especially when you have black slave owners, and you not including the Africans who sold us into slavery. So how you go? You just mad at the people who bought the stolen goods, but you ain't mad at the person who stole the goods in the first place. The reason they ain't, because they don't have no money. We go to Africa and be like, we want reparations from our cousins for selling us into slavery. Oh, you ain't got no money? That's all right. Tom got some money. Even though Tom don't have no money, Tom has a Federal Reserve Bank that's going to print up the money.
See, I agree with Andre that we are walking into this blindfolded into this meat grinder, but I still have hope, because I still believe that we are the greatest nation. Despite all the bad crap, we are the greatest nation to have ever existed. And there's still that feeling amongst probably more people than what we think. And when things start to get really bad, I think this will probably go down as the everlasting legacy of Trump, to kindle this patriotism in people, this America first. Like, why are we in Ukraine? Why are we doing these things? Why are we dividing ourselves? Why are we fighting with each other? Because that MAGA populist base that Trump had, it pulled in all kinds of people. It wasn't Republicans, it was Democrats, Obama voters, everybody. So when they reach their crescendo and their conclusion, and we are staring down the barrel of the gun of the New World Order, I think that the Second Amendment here in this country that's it. That's the line that is the final dam, like Andre said, for the entire world, though. And then B, I think there's enough populist people in this country who truly love this place, who truly want to save it. And when the time comes, I truly believe that those people are going to stand up and they're going to raise the torch of liberty, so to say, and they're going to say, no, not here. not in this country, maybe Canada, maybe Mexico, but as long as I'm here on this soil with my AR-15, come and friggin' take it. And that is my greatest hope. I just know that in between now and then, it's going to be a lot of pain, and people just need to prepare and be hopeful, but careful.
I'm a rain on Tom's parade, and I agree with Tom, but I'm a rain on this parade just to get some laughs out of this. Everybody under 30 hates America, man. I like black. If you black, you hate it because of some false narrative about America just being the worst country ever, and there's no, nothing. There's nothing great about America, according to, the generations under us. And then now you got white people hating America. Like, damn. Like, if you ain't, dude, it's over. When you get these 25-year-old teachers talking about grammar is white supremacy and I ain't teaching grammar to none of my kids, I'm like, dude, this is horrible. Now, that might be
that's all that woke. That's all that woke culture
stuff, man. Like it's like a cancer that's just running rampant, and we need some chemotherapy in here. Now, it's enough old folks in America with guns to say, hey, man, shut up, little youngster. You don't know what you're talking about. But I think people like us, although it's hard and it's frustrating, need to get a counter narrative out there. And it's really hard to combat that. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence today was talking about there was no prominent female and protagonist in movies before her little thing with the Mockingbird, whatever she was.
Oh, Hunger Games.
I'm like, are you nuts? I grew up on Wonder Woman, man. Linda Carter. What are you talking about? And from Linda Carter to what's her name in the Terminator, and then you got Sigourney Weaver. But she's in Sigourney Weaver's in
Charlie's Angels.
So, I mean, Charlie's Angels. I mean, come on, man. They are rewriting the present, let alone history, right? So you got 10, 15-year-olds who look up to her. They never watched Linda Carter and that cheesy ass Wonder Woman thing back in the day. Who, by the way, that TV show, one of its main either directors or producers was a woman. So all these lies about, there's no female representation in Hollywood. There was a black woman that had her own show, Diane Cannon, maybe her name was. She had a sitcom called Paige. It was about her and her little son. This is nighttime TV.
So watch this. So are you talking? So we have persistence over resistance says we are all being played by AI algorithms, which, technology and everybody, so basically more kids get more education from swiping up and down on Instagram and TikTok than they do in school. That's unfortunate. Yeah. And then we have Tony B says they don't teach reading, writing, math, but Marxism playbook. So, and that's something that you've spoken to Dre a while as well. So, I mean, are we surprised if the primary teachers of the next generation happens to be in their hand?
Yeah. And that's since the 60s, man. Like, I say it all the time on my channel. I mention it a lot. The African American Teachers Association back in the late 60s decided that personal merit and individualism was a myth, and it was basically white supremacy. But they were basically saying that African Americans don't vibe with that. We won't learn that way. We need a new value system. And the value system they chose was socialism. I mean, this is in print. I got the book right here for those who need proof. The future happened here. The future once happened here. And they talk all about it, man. And I grew up in that. Mike grew up in that. We didn't know it. Yeah. Right. So the generation under that, they knee deep in it and have no clue about what America is really about. And they all think that it's about racism, misogynism, and blah, blah, blah. So how do you fight that, man? How do you fight
that's the thing? Like, other than just, your own individual household, like you're making sure your children are aware as to what's really going on as best you can. And hopefully they become the beacon of light for the next generation. And, they are able to pick up the torch and carry it on, for your own family legacy. So that's kind of where it falls down to, I think. So, What else? Are there any other topics you want to touch on, man? I mean, we got some really good laughs. So for those tuning in, the goal is to talk about relevant topics, but also make sure we, crack a couple laughs so you don't go crazy. Because if you hear all these stories that's being given to us, you can become, very down and out. But we got some good laughs in the day, man. So what else is going on here?
You could just say California, and that's a punchline.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they giving out they're giving out money to transgender people?
Yes.
In San Francisco. Like
I tried to sign up for it actually. From New Jersey.
Why not?
I submitted the form. I don't know if it's gotten back to me yet. I got to check my email.
Sure, I mean, why not, man? If it's tax time rolling around, I know what I'm identifying as a broke. I ain't got no job. I ain't got no money. That's my identification. Y'all accepting, if I could just roll up and be like, you know what? God got it wrong. Man, I'm a woman. I'm a woman.
But that's exactly it, too.
Now,
we live in such
people. I ain't trying to be too crazy about it, but because I do know personally people going through that, that have transitioned and things like that. So I definitely believe in gender. What's the diagnosis? Gender
dysphoria.
Dysphoria. That is real, right? That is real. But all these other people, man, you gotta prove me wrong, man. This is a fad. Like this, I mean, you're teenagers. Come on, man.
You haven't even had any real world experience to be able to really get a sniff of life,
right?
But this is the problem with all this stuff. Like you were talking about earlier, Andre, the reparations package that freaking Newsom's doing over in California. Okay, so if I can be a woman or I can be a starfish, why can't I be a black man descended from slaves? It's all just it's a construct, right?
Yeah.
Why can't all of maybe California collectively is in a state where they believe that they're all descendant from slaves? I think it's going to be a lot more than $550 billion, but Newsom should really think about these things before he starts pushing them down.
And what's crazy, California was a free state.
And California wasn't even part of it. I think California wasn't it founded after the abolition of slavery? Am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure about that.
I know it wasn't a slave state.
I think it was around the 1850s.
I could be. I just know it wasn't a slave state.
Must be something water, man.
I mean, unless you, I ain't gonna go there. But it's just the fact that they're able to. I often wonder: are people this stupid? Like, are these politicians that stupid, or are they evil? And I'm leaning toward evil, man. Like a lot of the Democrats at the bottom, like my family who, just blindly vote Democrat, they're not evil. They don't know. But the people at the top, man, there's no way you don't know.
It's all coordinated, man. It's all coordinated. Like, Newsom and all their family members and friends and family, they all somehow link back to that new World Economic Forum, UN,
right.
That whole agenda. Like they go to these meetings in Davos. They meet up for a reason, you know what I'm saying? They bring it back to their cities and states and countries and they try to implement it. Some states go with it, some states don't. But we see either Cali or New York are leading the way and completely just ruining this country with all the craziness they've done throughout the last 2 years plus. And they talk about wearing masks again in Cali. I heard you can start wearing masks this I guess this summer, this winter for you guys, whatever. So
you can summer or winter. It's the same all over the country. But you can always tell like when these this Davos message is going because everybody's on script. Everybody with the COVID thing, it's we're in it together. Then it was Build Back Better. You had everybody going banging on about that. It's always everybody saying the same things in tandem, this mockingbird media, but on a global scale. All of a sudden, like something I've noticed doing geopolitics is everybody is no longer using the term CCP. Now they're saying CPC. Why is that? Because we have 60, 80 years of articles about the atrocities of the CCP. If China gets the mainstream media to start using the term CPC, now all of a sudden that entire search history is gone. So things like that, and I'm seeing it. It's it can't be a coincidence. These people are singing out of the same hymnal. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And watch this magic trick right here.
Mhm.
Mike, how do you destroy a physical currency?
Just continue to print it to the wire. Just create it out of nowhere and just spread it all over the world.
Right now, how many PhDs in economics do you have?
None.
All right, now Mike knows this. You can't tell me these people don't know this. And so when they come around saying, "Hey, you get $100 million, you get $100 million," the end of the day is destroying the currency. You can't tell me this isn't being done on purpose. They don't care about black folks at all.
They'll
We're
care about
just being used like we normally be being used for votes. We're being used for votes to get Democrats in office so that they can push through socialist agendas. Now we're being used as, hey, here's a charity to give to so we can just destroy this physical currency so we can usher in this CBDC.
BDC. It's on the horizon, people.
On the horizon. And then you're going to get, I hate to say it, man, it's a lot of dumb people in this country that's looking for a reason to shoot somebody because they mad. So when your average brother from the hood get his money and he rolling around in the 72 Cadillac on 24s made out of gold, and then you got the white guy working real hard. Like, what the hell, man? I just got here 6 years ago. Why did I pay for this dude's rims? Right? It's like, this is stupid. It's literally stupid. Now, reparations, I'm going to go and say, we should, as a nation, try and sue the Democratic Party. They pushed through Jim Crow laws. They founded the initial Klan. They blocked every time the founding fathers tried to get rid of slavery, they were there to block it.
I'd go one farther. The Democratic Party should be labeled a terrorist organization. Yeah. I believe that truly.
I ain't gonna argue with you.
You go from Weather Underground, the KKK, blowing up buildings, shooting presidents. That's the Democrat Party. Yeah. It doesn't matter, you're black, white, or whatever. The Democrat Party were the ones doing those things. Yep. They talk about January 6th, the greatest assault on democracy and ever, and blah, blah, blah. Do you remember the Weather Underground blowing up bombs in the Capitol building? Does everybody forget about this stuff?
Yeah.
It's crazy. They're terrorists.
Speaking of the Weather Underground, who was the founding member, Tom?
Bodine's dad, Chester Bodine's dad, Bill Ayers.
Right. And where did Senator Obama kick off his Senate race?
In
in his living room.
Yes.
In his living room.
That was his mentor, wasn't it? When didn't he study under him or something like that?
You're talking about Rules for Radicals, dude.
Okay.
Alinsky. You're talking about
Saul Alinsky.
Yeah, but Ayers, the guy in the underground, blew up buildings. He's a socialist, a Marxist. And our president, they got me, man. They got me. He had a hell of a personality. He smoked cools. Everybody was saying vote for him. He got lorries in his kitchen. He can relate. He can relate to the plight of the black guy. Vote for him. So I was like, never voted in myself. Never voted. Voted for Obama. Voted for him twice. They got me. Man. They got me on personality. It was on personality. They got me. But then
I didn't fall for okey doke, man. I didn't fall for. I knew something was up, man. Because my whole thought process was they're gonna put Obama in first, Hillary second, and then after Hillary's gonna be probably transgender or a homosexual, married couple or something like that. So that was a trend I thought they were gonna try to follow. And so it just happened to have a black guy go first to win us over, then a female, then a transgender, or so. But I guess Trump, disrupted that or whatever. They snuck him in there, so who knows?
Yeah, it's like we were talking about last week. There's bad people in these groups, and the socialists, what they did was they used racism as a shield to block, as a defense. And while they're defending racism, they're pushing in socialism. And they got me with Obama, and they almost got me again with Hillary. I was just, man, she just made my skin crawl. So I was like, let me look into this orange guy. Right? Why everybody tripping on him? He won an NAACP award. Everybody wanted to be like Trump. Now you're racist on Tuesday. Like Monday, he was the man. Tuesday, he's part of the Klan. So I looked into it. What do you look into? Policies. It's like, all right, Trump's policies sound great. Let me look back on Obama's policies. Damn, they got me. They got me.
A lot of people.
If you ask a Democrat, why did you vote for Biden? 9 out of 10 will tell you I didn't vote for Trump. They can't tell you one policy that Biden was pushing because he was in a basement somewhere when he was running. But if you look at what Trump did during his presidency, I mean, he got more done in 4 years than I don't know of another president that had got more things done as a president in 4 years.
With the impeachment crap, with the Russia hoax stuff. And this is my general take on politicians. If the entire apparatus of Washington is trying to crush and destroy them, there's probably a good reason for it. And again, former Vice President Joe Biden, on the other hand, didn't campaign, and he's now in the Oval Office, and we'll just leave that at that for YouTube.
Supposedly more votes than any other president prior to.
Jesus could not have gotten more votes than former Vice President Joe Biden.
You're right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, gentlemen, man. This was a good one. And so I must admit, I think we all got a couple good laughs out of everything, didn't we? And
absolutely,
we got a lot of nuggets that were just dealt out, man, throughout the show. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. And as always, I want to make sure I encourage everybody, if you haven't, these two gentlemen here happen to be members of the community, and that's why I'm connecting with them, just because it's good to be able to connect amongst your own kind. So I appreciate you guys. So we got the broke capitalist to the far left, Mr. Andre over there, and we have the coming conflict in the very middle, Mr. Tom, and their information is beneath this video here in the description. So I encourage you to go subscribe to those guys and show them some love. And you definitely do this on Wednesdays, man. I enjoy it. So I definitely need this to break things up during the week. So appreciate you guys, man, for hanging out with me. And thank you guys for tuning in as well. And any last words you guys want to leave us with before we head into, I guess, this remainder of this week and weekend?
Thank you for having me. Thank you to the audience. And check out my channel, and we'll see you next week or on Wednesday. Yeah.
Sounds good. Mr. Andre, anything you're
hanging out? I always try and keep it light. Someone told my significant other, the love of my life, as I have to say. He said, "You do all this complaining. What are you gonna do about it?" Stop me in my tracks, man. I was like, "Damn, what can I do about it?" I don't know. But what I figured is, man, we just got to keep trying to get the word out. Maybe somebody out there, a big fish, will hear it. And they'll investigate into it further. We get enough people behind this message that at least, the narrative has to be questioned. This narrative that we are currently in is just destructive. It's leading us down a road of utter destruction where you got, again, I'll end with this, like the teacher on TikTok who's like, math is white supremacy, correct grammar is white supremacy. They're creating another generation of people who will not just be unemployed, but unemployable. And if you're unemployable, guess what you need? You need some money, right? That leads right into universal basic income. And you're not going to vote against universal basic income if you can't take care of yourself, right? So if I'm a politician, it's like, I believe in individual responsibility and individual freedom, and you should be able to pull yourself up for your bootstraps. They're going to be like, shut up, Andre. There's no way for me to make a living. Right? So we got to get this narrative out there before it's too late. And if it is too late, I had a good run.
Yeah.
See y'all next week.
but it's not, man. All right, my good people. Appreciate you guys, man. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Hangout Wednesday week. Just check in with the fellas. So thanks for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you check those guys out. Links in the description. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.
All right. Peace.